Good morning. I'm Mike Montes, and I'm running for sheriff of Onondaga County. I have over 27 years of federal law enforcement experience and almost 20 years in the U.S. Navy. I'm a combat veteran, but today I want to talk to you about school safety in Onondaga County. In response to the Newtown massacre, each school district in the state of New York was required to develop a plan for how they would respond in case of a worst case scenario actually occurred. But those plans are designed only to save the lives of children until the first responders actually arrive on the scene. And those first responders would include school safety officers, retired police officers, school security guards, municipal police officers, or Onondaga County Sheriff's deputies, who might find themselves in a situation where they have to respond to an active shooter. So, what preparation have the deputies had of responding to our schools? I read with interest the Onondaga County School Safety Task Force report, and I focused primarily on the law enforcement piece, which was authored by the sheriff. I was shocked to see that the sheriff's plan was to come up with a plan and to include the County Communications Center, the 911 center in the plan. And all I could think of was, well, that's great, but where has he been? Why hasn't he come up with a plan already? In 2012, when teachers and children were gunned down at Sandy Hook, our sheriff was the chief of police in DeWitt, responsible for 3 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school. At no point in the aftermath of that horrible day did it occur to him to prepare for such an event here. Right now, we have a hodgepodge approach in which larger and richer school districts have school resource officers in place, but poorer and smaller schools are left on their own. Some have hired part time school resource officers, some of whom are retired police officers, and some of whom are security guards, overseen exclusively by educators, but there's no law enforcement evaluation on the candidate's suitability to serve in our schools. There is no coordination at the county level to make sure that everyone is on the same page with the same training and the same training skill set. Chaos wastes precious time where seconds are the difference between life and death. On day 1, I will assign to the captains of the Onondaga County Sheriff's Office the task of assigning personnel to each school district to ascertain what the school district safety plan entails and making sure that blueprints and safety plans of every school in the county are available to all officers in a case of an emergency. This is fundamental to make sure that first responders have access to basic information they need. Additionally, they will be tasked with developing a schedule of drilling in every school building in the county so that officers, communication staff, and school personnel have a better idea of what to expect in an actual active shooting situation or catastrophic event. Problems that can be easily corrected, like marking entrance or exits, can be solved. Preparation and training is essential to stop the violence and to save lives. The School Resource Officer Program, which the sheriff himself calls the gold standard of ensuring safety, should be expanded, but how? We all agree that children are our most precious asset, but we also face the reality of limited municipal resources. As your sheriff, I will repurpose the Special Deputy Program so that retired police officers already receiving pensions can, under the sheriff's authority and in accordance with suitable regulations, serve in our schools. They will need to be fit, up to date on their police certifications, and submit to continuous training to make sure they have the skills they need to respond effectively. In this way, this simple change will ensure that one law enforcement agency will oversee the training and communication of those officers assigned to our districts while incurring minimal costs. As it stands now, our children are, in many cases, protected by the thoughts and prayers of well meaning educators and disinterested politicians. We need to do better if we do not want to see one of our towns or schools become a shorthand name for unspeakable tragedy. We do not want Main Street Elementary or Moses DeWitt to become the next Sandy Hook or Columbine. The time to act is before tragedy strikes. I ask for your support on November 6th. The issue is not ideological, it's about competence and leader. Together, Al Sturpey and I will work together to keep our children safe. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank everybody for coming and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about the legislation we've developed in response to the shootings that have happened all around the country. The community became activated after these tragedies, and committees met to try to come up with a response. But as Mike was saying, one of the things that we find lacking currently is training. It seems to be ad hoc based on whatever school district you're at. And what we have thought was training should be uniform, there should be standards, and everyone should have to go through it. Not only an initial training, which is very comprehensive, but an annual recertification. And I don't believe that's happening right now. The other thing is, while active duty officers are trained, they're not always trained in the things that make school resource officers really important. And that's building relationships. They build relationships with the kids, and the most important thing is they know when something's not right. I mean, the real thing we want to do is not just stop an active shooter after he's entered the building. We want to prevent these things from happening. We'll do whatever we can to support a more comprehensive approach to school resource officers. Thank you.